across or beyond the Jordan. Evidence against Mosaic authorship. Some scholars point to the phrase, across the Jordan, as evidence that the writer was already living inside the land of Israel, west of the Jordan River, when Deuteronomy was written. Since Moses never entered the Promised Land, they argue that he could not have been the author of Deuteronomy. This is a frequently cited argument against Mosaic authorship. If this argument is correct, it would mean that Deuteronomy was written by an unknown author or editor who lived after Moses' time. In Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 5, we find the translation, across the Jordan, or beyond the Jordan. The argument goes like this. In Deuteronomy, Moses and the Israelites are described as being across or beyond the Jordan. Since they were camped east of the Jordan River, the phrase is understood to refer to the eastern side. Critics argue that if the author is describing the Israelites as being across the Jordan, then he must be writing from the opposite side from within the land of Israel, west of the Jordan. If that is true, then the writer could not have been Moses, because Moses never crossed the Jordan River and never entered the Promised Land. For this reason, many scholars have used this phrase as an argument against Mosaic authorship of Deuteronomy. Is there a more accurate translation of the Hebrew word for across or beyond the Jordan? J.P.U. Lilley writes in his article, By the Riverside, that the Hebrew word translated across or beyond means beside the Jordan. He says, the purpose of this note is to suggest that bəʿēɁber hayyardēn means beside the Jordan, either in a narrow or in a broader sense, either east or west, and that a specification is required unless the context provides a sufficiently clear indication of the reference. To identify a specific location, a geographical reference must be provided. The phrase across the Jordan, beyond the Jordan, or beside the Jordan by itself does not indicate which side of the river is being described. For the reader to know the intended side of the Jordan, the text must include an additional geographical reference point. Without such a reference, the phrase alone cannot establish the writer's location. Please note what Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 5 says. On this side of the Jordan in the land of Moab. According to the New King James Version, the land of Moab is located east of the Jordan. This clearly shows that he was east of the Jordan when he spoke to the Israelites. Do other texts in Deuteronomy have geographical information? There are 10 cases mentioned in Deuteronomy chapter 1, 3, 4, and 11, in which the author of Deuteronomy always adds phrases to determine the geographical location. For example, Deuteronomy chapter 3 verse 8. And at that time we took the land from the hand of the 2 kings of the Amorites, who were on this side of the Jordan, from the river Arnon to Mount Hermon. River Arnon and Mount Hermon are east of the Jordan. Another example, Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 46. On this side of the Jordan, in the valley opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon king of the Amorites, who dwelt at Heshbon, whom Moses and the children of Israel defeated after they came out of Egypt. Heshbon is mentioned here. It was located east of the Jordan. Deuteronomy chapter 11 verse 30. Are they not on the other side of the Jordan, toward the setting sun, in the land of the Canaanites who dwell in the plain opposite Gilgal, beside the terebinth trees of More? Gilgal is west of the Jordan. In these 3 examples, the geographical location is mentioned in order to determine which side of the Jordan River is meant. What can be concluded? Across or beyond the Jordan actually means beside the Jordan. It requires geographical information to know which side of the Jordan River is meant. Moses, the author of Deuteronomy, was according to the geographical information east of the Jordan. The phrase across or beyond the Jordan does not negate the authorship of Moses.